I regret everything. Every decision I have made. I'm so sorry. I really am sorry. Look what they did to my kingdom. I'm never going to financially recover from this. You may be asking at this point, what happened? How did the mighty Crayola kingdom come to ruin? Well, ladies and gentlemen, strap in. It's going to be quite the story. So my day began just like any other. I was scouting around my territory with the mount that PSB so graciously gave me. Thanks again, PT Boy. Now, I love this mount. It's quite quick. It's actually faster than the mount that I'm currently using that can cross oceans. However, this being so small, it doesn't have that capability. But as you can see, it's quite quick just for some land reconnaissance, making sure everyone around is only part of Crayola and we don't have anyone sneaking in that shouldn't be there. Now, the Crayola Kingdom so far is looking excellent. Since you've last seen it, I've added a lot of improvements, such as a nice little wall that goes around the entire complex. I've also added a bunch of trees as well to really flourish the place out and make it look a lot more homely and, you know, kingdomly, if you will. So overall, I've got the 2 pets right now, and I'm going to name this pet that Pete gave me. I don't even know what to name it. I mean, I'm thinking something across the lines of maybe Bacon or something like that. I mean, maybe Crayola's... No, I can't say that, you know, YouTube guidelines and all that. But maybe like Bacon or something will just like suffice. So I'll name it Bacon and then we'll continue onwards. There we go. A pet worthy from being espionaged. So happy days. So yeah, I mean, the kingdom is looking absolutely fantastic. We've got all the lighting situation sorted now. Everything's nice and bright how it should be. Inside looks amazing. I got my little save beacon here. So far, so good. And the team has been working really hard on gathering resources to drop off. So I'm just about to start the collection on that. So really looking forward to that. I mean, I've already got a few items stored from what a few people have already given me. Now, if anybody don't know what I'm talking about, basically during this challenge we have objectives that we need to complete, and currently there is an objective running where you have to, you know, find certain things, discover certain plants and animals, and then everyone does like a drop off for like some of the egg sacs or sacks or whatever it is that we find at the minute. I actually forget the name of it. Where then they drop them off to me and then I can put them in the Crown Treasury, which is basically just a storage box in the middle of my town square. And then that way then essentially at the end of this competition, challenge or objective, me and Ricey and Captain Steve will all count what we've all got and we'll all confer with each other, and then whoever gets the most of these egg sacs or relics then wins that particular challenge. I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit more long-winded than that, but that's like the shortened down version of it. But we also have another problem. War is brewing. Now, we know that there has been massive expansion from the Empire, where a team member from the Empire, I think it was PSB, he captured the North and the South Pole by claiming it as their own, and they even put a freaking flag down. I mean, seriously, that is some proper colonialization kind of stuff going on there. So we've got that going on, and it is like, you know, them really pushing boundaries and borders, and, you know, Crayola Kingdom has noticed this. But on the flip side to that, we also have the captain of the Steves. He's been gaining numbers and popularity rather rapidly, and they are starting now to push their kind of like reign of factionness and borders. Because it's ever growing, it's starting to go outwards, and it's now starting to come down south a little bit, even though they are over, like, you know, 12 hours away. If you was to walk it in real life, well, not real life, but in real time, it will take you 12 hours to walk it in real life. I hope that makes sense. But even with that distance, they are still creeping ever slower. So that's something that we do need to take care of as well. So something quite neat that I figured out, and it's helped me cross oceans when my team technically isn't really very good at it, is if you get, like, you know, thrown off your mount when you're in the middle of the ocean, what you want to do is you want to use your terrain manipulator. I can never say that word, I don't know why. And basically you want to build a column upwards using that. And then all you need to do is call in your pet from the column. Now, once you do that, And if you get it just right, the pet will just kind of stay there, and then you can ride from there. And essentially it just means then you don't need to swim back to an island, because technically you've just made an artificial island in the middle of the freaking ocean, and then you can use your pet then to jump on top. Trust me, this saves so much time, especially when you're trying to cross vast distances very quickly. I figured this out the hard way when, before I even had a team that could cross the entire ocean, I was literally trying to swim to all these little islands that you can see in front of me just to get that little extra step further. But then halfway between one island to the next, I'd be flung essentially into the water. So yeah, it saves a lot of time. I just thought it'd be something quite good for everybody to know. So whilst I was out and about flying across oceans on my dragon, I noticed that there was a combo left here. So it was quite close to my kingdom, and I wanted to see what it says. Now, I'm not going to edit any of this part out because it's kind of quite integrated to the actual story of today's episode, to what actually happened. So just ignore the IQ of 165 player here, and just watch it. It's a little bit painful, but you know what, I managed to get up here, so it's all good. You didn't see anything, pro player and all that. Anyway, so I wanted to see what the combo was all about, and I can see my pet Larry up there just flying across. Everything is going good. Now, I was met at the top here by this player, and I was wondering what the heck was going on. Now, at the time, he was just pointing a weapon at me, and I'm kind of just looking over my shoulder thinking, oh my god, he's going to attack. And then he bleeding well did. Look at that. And he's absolutely rinsing me. Now, I'm getting shot after shot after shot on this guy, and I don't know what quite happened, but I was close to death, even with all my shields. And the bleeding freaking guy killed me. He actually killed me. Now, what happens next? A leader of a faction just got cut down. So, what happens? So, as part of the game rules, what you need to do as a leader is when you spawn back, because faction leaders can spawn back as part of the game rules, because obviously we have kingdoms to run, we need to gather footage for the actual thing. It's just the way it is. So, the way that we've made this as fair as possible is once we are back, we need to go back over to our main base, into our base computer, and we need to essentially delete the base. That's it. You lose all the progress that you've made, and you essentially start from the very beginning. So as you can see, the Crayola Kingdom was deleted. Now, with the way as well that the game at the minute syncs with all the other players, it'll essentially just leave, well, as you can see, a shell of what once was, a shell of a kingdom. Now, it will still be spawning in items there and there, but it won't be anywhere near as much. And I can't, as you can see, I can't delete anything either. This base now has been totally taken from my control. That's it, done, dusted. There's nothing more I can do here. So another thing that we need to do is start deleting all technologies from our inventory as well. So that's the exosuit, the multi-tool, everything. Basically, we need to get rid of the lot because we've just died. So this absolutely pained me so much, and I was thinking, being the antagonist on the server, and creating that story arc, the narrative on the server, I'm thinking maybe I might have pushed the Empire a bit too much. Maybe this was like some kind of really clever assassination plot. I was caught off guard in the open, and fair play. Even like I said, I put GGs in the chat to that guy because he caught me just completely off guard. I wasn't expecting him. I didn't see him. But after I went ahead and obviously deleted the entire base, and obviously there are still going to be some things that are still rendered in at the minute, but if you have a look, I can't, nothing to delete. I have no control over any of this anymore. So this will all just go over time. So what do I do from here? What do I do from here is the main question. Like, was I assassinated? Wasn't I assassinated? Was this just a rogue player? I have no idea at this point, and I wouldn't know until I look back over the footage. But in the meantime, obviously at this point, I'm still recording, as you can see on screen right now. You know, I'm just taking a moment. At this point, I actually walked away from my computer for 5 minutes and I went and took a breather because I just lost everything. But when I come back, I went ahead and I started to go ahead and rebuild somewhat of the kingdom. Now, I needed a small base of operations first, so that's what I went ahead and did. I went and collected items and resources again after deleting everything from my inventory, and then I built just a little bit further down shore. Now, this is what's called a FOB, a forward operations base, and essentially it's just somewhere where I can put my resources into when I need to, and somewhere that's an easily defendable position. Now, learning some of the tricks of the trade that I've been basically practicing whilst been playing this event, I've learned a thing or two about defense, so I'm going to incorporate that into this build as well. But again, it's not going to be anything too fantastic. It's even going to be made out of carbon, and luckily the area that I've come down to, again, which is only just a little bit further down shore, and it's a place that I've used to farm for the Crayola Kingdom with the main base, you know, may it rest in peace and all that. I've been using it for a while, and basically you get so much carbon so quickly. It's actually ridiculous how much carbon, like the wee plants that like spawn around here. So it just meant I could get the resources that I need. Yes, I'm building out of wood. It's not exactly as fancy as stone, but you know what? We're going for function over looks here, and I think that's probably the most important thing. Now, the first thing I always recommend as well is when you start like building any kind of structure new, if you build it directly on the ground, you at least want to go one level high. Because what happens is with the game regen thing, as we all know, rocks and plants and all other kind of things just spawn in the ground wherever it is that you build. And over time, it can become a complete mess. But if you build one up from that, then it basically gives you a clean floor and you don't ever have to worry about that. So that's just a quick tip for you. Something I've been practicing for a long while, and I don't build anything these days without at least implementing that. So I'm going to get something built up here quick, and then we're going to go on to the next phase. So whilst constructing this new base, I realized something. I realized something rather bloody important. Now, this has caused a massive, massive setback to the Crayola Kingdom, especially within challenges, especially the objective that we're trying to complete, because I lost everything. I lost all the relics that were handed in. I lost all the sacks that were handed in, you know, things that we're going to be all tallying up later on. So I needed to come up with a plan. And how am I going to do that? Well, how am I going to get things back? How am I going to still be able to compete in all this? This is when I started thinking about the numbers that each of the other factions have. Now, they've been growing in size, and with more players online, the more items then can be delivered back to the faction leaders that they can then store in the vaults. But what happens if those that are going out collecting resources don't ever make it back? What happens if I just trim the bushes of the ever-growing tree, so to speak? So that's exactly what I decided to do. I went out and I killed every single player that I seen with their survival marker and PvP on. So it begins, ladies and gentlemen. I first made my way over to the Empire because I noticed that there was a player flying about with his survival and PvP on. He's obviously just either going out or coming back from his haul, which is absolutely fantastic, but it means now I can fully engage him. So that's exactly what I went ahead and did. Now, I like to call my pet in as quickly as possible, so I've actually got it macroed on my keyboard. So he's just circling around, and now he's not really, I don't think he even knows what's going on. I just kind of came out of nowhere here, and I'm just absolutely blasted him. Now, I got a couple of good shots on him so far, and one of the things that I've noticed is if you manage to go ahead and shoot and it hits the player whilst on the mount, I think, and I don't know 100%, but I think it knocks him off. I think it knocks him off the mount entirely, which I think what happened to this chap here. He just got knocked off his mount and he seems quite startled. So all I'm doing right now is laying into him at a distance, because we've seen what happened before if you get up close and personal. Now, we're just absolutely shooting on. He's trying to call in his mount, but he can't get on his mount whilst I'm firing at him because it interrupts is getting onness on the mount. It just interrupts that whole cycle. So he's basically having to try and run. However, I just overpowered him so quickly, and unfortunately he died. Now, he did get a couple of good shots off at me, and he put my health quite down quite badly. So, you know, overall, amazing fight. Thank you very much for participating, buddy. But at the end of the day, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, my friend. My next fight, I made my way all the way over to the 07 Brew Crew, and I'd seen a player again with his survival turned on and PvP on. So I decided to go ahead and start absolutely rinsing the guy. Now, as you can see, he's trying to get away on his bird, but again, I suspect that if I can knock him off the bird with my bolt caster, it knocks him off. It does. I think it knocks him off, which is fantastic. It means he can't get away. Now, this guy is just flying away just a little bit outside of my reach. So instead, what I'm going to do is do a drop down on top, just get a little bit closer, use the mount, use the tactics, and just basically try and keep pressure on him. Because if I let up even just an inch, he can call in his mount, which is circling up ahead, and he can get up and go. And I don't want that. So it looks like he's going ahead here, and he's trying to bury himself deep. Now, I have a couple of choices here. I could try and wait for him to come out, or I could go ahead and follow him. Now, he has closed the tunnel up behind me, and if I try and use my terrain manipulator, I can't, because he's within like the build area. So whenever you like break terrain, it'll kind of be like a delayed timer for when anybody else can break it in that area again. But I got it at just the right angle where I was able then to get in, and as you can see, he's buried right down. And then you just kind of see him scarpering off here. And fantastic. I'm absolutely laying into him. However, look at the lag here. Look at the lag. So he's shooting at me from all sorts of angles. And he's like teleporting almost on screen because of the lag. But at the end of the day, this is like serious, like, you know, high risk, high rewards. If he kills me, I need to delete my progress yet again. But he didn't. And I managed to get another member of another faction cut down, which is fantastic. So right now I am 1 at the Empire and I'm 1 at the Crayola Kingdom. I am making my vengeance back on this server 1 player at a time. But we're not just going to be stopping there today, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, not by a long shot. On my way back from the 07 Brew Crew, literally just a little bit further beyond its borders, I see another member from the 07 Brew Crew out and about. And of course, he has his survival PvP on, so he is fair game. So we need to go ahead, sneak up to him. I don't think he knows I'm quite here just yet. And I've jumped out off my mount on top using the same sort of tactics I've been using because it's been winning me the fights. And now I'm just going to start peppering him. If I can get this kill, this will be 1 member down from the Empire and 2 down from the 07 Brew Crew, really thinning out their numbers. Now, one thing I always do recommend if you're on this experiment and you're taking part in a fight, always just make sure that, you know, everything is above board, and please just make sure that, you know, you're on your survival PvP on and they're on the survival PvP on. That's the only way right now that we can engage in PvP conflict. So as you can see, he had his on, fantastic, and unfortunately he lost that. But you know what? This chap was a very, very, very good sport about it. As you can see, he spawned in straight away afterwards, and we just shared a quick wave, thumbs up, and he then left the server. You know, that's all part of it, and it was a really, really good fight. So, you know, sorry that he lost, bud, but again, where the cookie crumbles. However, we still had work to do because this wasn't going to be the only fight. We're going to go now on to our next one, which my faction has reported that the Empire has another player currently in survival and is running out from their base. So we need to now make the long journey back from the 07 Brew Crew, which is 12 hours, to the Empire. So it's going to be another long journey, but if we can sneak up on this guy, it's going to be worth it. Okay, so I finally made it. Now I'm just going to first of all jump up top here. I'm just going to survey the area and not engage, but look what happens. The guy literally starts opening fire on me the second I land, which is absolutely insane. I mean, this guy's obviously been watching me for a while. He's been watching me come over, but seems like he's fired the first shot. I'm going to go ahead now and defend myself. Now, he is quite a fair distance away, so I'm not going to edit any of this out. I'm going to show you real time how this fight went down, just like with the last fights. Now, as I'm trying to get into him, he looks like he's trying to run around or inside his... I think that's his base. I'm not too sure. But what we're going to do, first of all, is call in our mount. I'm going to try and get a better position on him because he is currently just hiding behind his walls, and he's just going to probably try and keep there and maybe try and bait me in or something into a position that I don't want to be in. So I'm going to try and get somewhere around him and just a little bit higher. So you can see him on his walls there. He's trying to look, see where I am. And it looks like I can actually... He's only got walls up. He's literally only got walls up, which I don't understand why he's then trying to hide on a wall, because I can just come up behind him and start levering him. So here we go. I'm just going to start peppering him. Absolutely peppering the guy. And he's panicking now. Look at him. He don't even know what to do. Absolutely incredible. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, things are starting to load in. Okay, so he's meant to have a roof there. Right. Oh, okay. Okay, so if the person who I'm trying to hit right now, if you see this, seems all the roof didn't render in, and technically speaking, I was shooting you for a roof, which is not my fault, it's the game. I feel kind of bad now. However, this little shit was shooting me from his roof regardless, so I'm going to finish the fight because technically he did initiate it, and even when I came around this corner here, you can see that he's just not giving me any quarter whatsoever, and he's still going at me and shooting me, and he's getting some bloody solid hits on me too. My health is going right down, but I managed to overpower him, and inevitably he dropped. Now, obviously, for the roof incident, like I said, speak to Ricey or myself. I'm automatically granting you a death pardon, which means you can just spawn back in on the experiment because of the whole roofing issue. But nonetheless, I wanted to finish the job because you did start it. But there we go. So, I mean, so far, ladies and gentlemen, we are daisy cutting through the Empire, through the 07 Brew Crew. We're thinning their numbers. Fantastic. So this now should start to give Crayola that edge again. And that is exactly what I like about this. But there is still one more fight that happened later on in the evening when Ricey was conducting a live stream, and I'll show you what happened. So Ricey was in the middle of live streaming in the Empire, showing bases, having a good time, showing all the really good work that the community really has been putting into this event. And to be honest, the buildings, even in the Empire alone, are absolutely staggering. The 07 Brew Crew's bases are fantastic. Everyone that's participated in my faction, the Crayola, everybody's been building such massive bases, really good, intricate designs, and really keeping with the Light No Sky or Light No Fire theme, which is fantastic. So just whilst Ricey was in the middle of his live stream, I came over, had a look at a few bases, did a bit of sightseeing tour, that kind of thing, and essentially I was just gaining some resources from around the area. So nothing too tragic. Now, I noticed that one of his clan members goes by the name of Fish something or other. He kept just tailing me no matter where I went. He just kept on my back end constantly. I mean, at least buy me dinner first, but still, he was constantly tailing me, almost like, you know, having a guide with me at all times within the Empire to make sure I don't get up to any funny business. To be fair, I do kind of understand that. You know, it's their Empire, and especially after today, you know, there are already a few members down, which, okay, I take full credit for. But still, there he is. That's the guy. So all I'm doing here is basically just having a look at bases. So this is one of the bases that I noticed on Ricey's stream, and I wanted to go and have a look. So I'll just make my way over, going up the stairs, nothing too fantastic. And as you can see, he's on that rock over there. He's just standing there, and he's looking over, constantly surveying. I think he's trying to think that we're going to like invade the stream or something, the Crayola Kingdom, which isn't my way of playing. You know, you're going to do a stream on something that we're doing like this, then no, it's not going to be a case of, you know, my entire crew's going to come over and ruin it. I don't believe in that, because you're streaming about the event, so you should get a nice stream out of it. But still, as you can see, straight away, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the little shit starts to attack me. So straight away, no messing about, just using their own base against them, essentially. Seems like I don't have any other choice at the minute. I'm just firing right back at him. Now, as you can see, my health is going down. And the thing is, he's still in normal mode. He's not even put himself into survival, which he's meant to do if he's going to start PvPing. But still, I took on the challenge regardless. I'm in survival mode because technically I am over here in their base, in their territory, so I kept my survival mode on. Regardless, I daisy cutted him down. So, sorry, fish pond pokey stick. You attacked me. Yeah, at least you had your PvP on. But you attacked me for no reason. So, there we go. I mean, at the end of the day, that's now 3 down for the Empire. Because somebody was a bit more trigger happy than they should have been. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it was a pretty long day yesterday, I'm not going to lie, but we got a lot of objectives completed. Now, after all that fighting, and it kind of cleared my head a little bit, I started to think, well, instead of us having the forward operating base and going from there, what if we could rebuild the kingdom? And that's exactly what I did. I gathered all the resources that I had. I put down a new base computer in the same place of where I had it before. But as you can see, I tried, basically I went through all of my footage that I've collected over the last 5-6 days of doing this. Figured out exactly where things are meant to go, how things were built. And essentially, I just went ahead and tried to copy what I did before. Now, it's not perfect. It's not perfect by a long shot. And by placing down the base computer, I did manage to save a few things from decaying and going. For some reason, it just came back over to myself. But a lot of the structure, I had to rebuild. Like, from here onwards, it kind of saved just a wee bit. There are a few things out of place that I still need to kind of fix. But overall, it's kept, like the Crayola Tower, for example, which I'm really happy about, and it's kept most of my town hall. There was some things I needed to fix in it, but I've done that already, and it kept my graveyard completely, which I'm quite happy about for my fallen comrades. Fantastic. But I mean, overall, I've tried my best to look back at the footage, rebuild a lot of things that went missing. Now, it's not perfect. I've still got a lot of lighting to sort out. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, even in here, it's to be fair, it's not too bad in here. I might put a few more lights down. But like I said, this wasn't overly affected anyway. I'm just going to give you like the base tour of what's gone on. But like I said, put down a new base computer. I mean, all my little columns going around the walls are gone. The ceiling on my walls have gone. Oh my god, why can't I get up here? It's still really buggy, guys. I'm not going to lie. See, putting a base computer down on a decaying base, I don't recommend it because there are just a lot of like little bugs that you need to try and figure out. But overall, it's not too bad. My roof is completely gone. All my lights are gone. I've had to replace my current lights. My flags are gone. My throne room has been rebuilt as best as I can remember it. But again, I've looked back at the footage. I've tried to place things back to where they roughly was. It's still not, again, perfect. But I think overall, it's a good start. And it's kind of like fortifying that, yeah, you might take down the leader, but the kingdom will always remain. Now, I noticed that something called Crayola Watch over here. Now, I don't know if that's my faction or the Empire's faction or something, just like putting their base on mine. I'm not too sure, so it's something I need to keep my eye on. But yeah, I mean, overall, everything's going smoothly. I've started to rebuild the kingdom. It's probably going to take me a good few days again to get it just right in the way I want it. But yeah, at the end of the day, guys, it's been one hell of an eventful day. We've taken out so many members across different factions, and the fights have been intense. Definitely intense. But one last thing as well I want to show you. Now, this was spotted by Captain of the Steves, because I sent over the footage to Rice, and Stephen basically said, look, I just died, you know, long live the Empire, I'll stick by the rules. But Steve went, hang on a minute, chap. Look at the footage again, and look what it says before he engages you. So I did. My jaw absolutely dropped. So here's some of the footage again. Did you see it? How about we look a little bit more closely? And because I was in the middle of quite an intense fight, I didn't notice the freaking ship behind him. And then to rub salt in the wounds here, Captain Steve says, well, he's not a member of my faction, chap. Ricey said the same. And of course, he's not part of Crayola Kingdom. That's the first thing I checked. So what actually happened here? It looks like we had a party crasher, an event crasher, someone out there just wanting to ruin the game. He arrived on a ship, seen me, landed, and then took me out using his save or cheats, because I was landing many shots and nothing seemed to hurt him going off my own footage there. So essentially, I deleted my entire base for freaking nothing and went on a revenge rampage for the last 6 hours for no reason. So as the title says, I regret everything and I'm sorry. Sorry I killed everybody. Sorry I went on a rampage. Sorry I freaking deleted my whole base. God damn it.